The original Dean-Lopez funeral home has now been renovated to an apartment building, but many spirits remain. The Dean children who grew up in the house used to see shadow people, as they referred to the many ghosts that haunt this old house. The most famous spirit will never rest in peace due to the horribly gruesome and disturbing atrocities that were committed to her corpse. To understand why, we need to go to the beginning of this story. George Carl Tanzler, aka Count Carl von Cosel, moved to Key West from Zephyrhills, Florida in 1927, leaving his wife and children behind. The self-proclaimed Count was hired as an X-ray technician in the local hospital, even though he didn't have any credentials. That is where Tanzler met Elena Hoyos Mesa, a beautiful 22-year-old woman dying from tuberculosis. He claimed to have seen her face in a dream many years before. He believed this was the woman he was supposed to marry, but he had settled with his first wife. Tanzler gave Elena treatments for free, lavished her with gifts, which she accepted, and proposed marriage many times, which she rejected. Tanzler was not able to save Elena, and she died in 1931 and was buried in a humble grave. Tanzler could not bear to see his beloved buried in a pauper's grave and had an elaborate mausoleum built for her. 2 years after her death, Tanzler had her body exhumed and reinterred in the mausoleum. He would sit in the crypt for hours every night talking to Elena. Tanzler believed that Elena spoke to him and even sang a hymn asking him to take her from this place and marry her. Tanzler stole her body 2 years after she died. He reconstructed her badly decaying body with mortician's wax and plaster. He created a wig from her own hair, which had fallen out of her scalp. He used piano wire to hold her bones together and completed his bride with glass eyes. He lived with Elena's corpse for 7 years until her sister became suspicious, and Tanzler confessed what he had done. Elena was taken from Tanzler and he was arrested. However, the local authorities had no idea what to charge him with, as the statute of limitations for grave robbing was 2 years. A hearing was set to assess Tanzler's sanity. Meanwhile, word had spread about the disgusting story. Many perceived it as romantic. Elena's body was put on display at the Dean-Lopez funeral home. Over 6,800 people came from all over to view Elena's remains, and children were let out of school early so that they could come see this poor woman's disrespected corpse. Tanzler was deemed sane and released. He moved back to Zephyrhills, only a few miles from his first wife. 3 hours after he left Key West, Elena's crypt exploded. Most people believe Tanzler had destroyed her crypt to show his anger. Meantime, an autopsy was being performed on the remains of Elena. Authorities were amazed at what they found. Apparently, Tanzler had recreated the parts of Elena he thought were important, and without going into detail, he was able to consummate their marriage. This is where the story takes another bizarre twist. Elena was secretly buried in an undisclosed grave. Tanzler lived for 12 more years, writing his memoirs and telling his love story to all that would listen. When Tanzler was found dead in his home, he was lying on top of a replica of Elena's reconstructed corpse. Some believe that Tanzler bribed the funeral director and took Elena with him to Zephyrhills, and a weighted box was buried. Others say that Elena was buried under the front porch of the funeral home. Elena, during her short life, never dreamed that she would be eternally famous. Wherever Elena's remains are truly buried, her spirit will always be wandering Key West.